Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Good? Good? So, welcome to Zoomtopia. It's so amazing to have you here and extend happiness to you guys. And today, my team and I would like to talk to you about Workstream collaboration. And by the way, I'm Mila. I lead product at Zoom, so your feedback is welcome at any time. Feel free to interrupt me and ask questions, and we're here to serve you. So, what is Workstream collaboration? Workstream collaboration has become a buzzword recently. A lot of people heard about it, but how many people actually know what it is? What is Workstream collaboration? Let's do it. What is Workstream collaboration? Let's do a quick show of hands here. How many of you sent at least one message on the work chat application today? Please raise your hand. Wow, that's awesome. How many of you received a notification about a new message? You got a new message today. Awesome. How many of you shared files today with your coworkers or sent them? How many of you had a Zoom video call or other video conferencing call today? Okay, some of you woke up early. That's great. Working hard, that's awesome. Well, guess what? This is all Workstream collaboration. Without even knowing, you're already collaborating in Workstream. Because it includes persistent chat, it includes video and audio conferencing, it includes file sharing, it includes search and discovery, it includes apps and plugins, and of course, in order to collaborate effectively, ideally, your solution needs to be open to others to integrate. That's why APIs and plugins are so critical. So it's interesting because the workplace is changing. It's 2018, and if you can imagine 50 years ago, a typical day in the office was nothing like today. Today, it's crazy, right? With all the notifications, with all the buzzwords, and it's really fascinating what's happening with the shift to the cloud, and all the applications, just modern, they put user experience top and center. And of course, a lot of you know, especially those who work in large companies, before teams were siloed. And it could take a few days or sometimes even a few weeks to get an answer to your question. Now, you can ping your coworker, even from a different department. You can find them in Active Directory, ping them, send them a chat, and you can get an answer almost instantaneously. This is crazy, because the speed of collaboration and the speed of communication is really accelerating. And the productivity is just shooting through the roof. It's really amazing what's happening. And here at Zoom, we actually see that firsthand. It's reflected in the number of meeting minutes that we're seeing. It's reflected in the number of messages and notifications that our servers process on a daily basis. And it's definitely mind-blowing. And the other important trend that we're seeing is actually the adoption of Workstream collaboration tools. It's going through a very interesting period right now. What we're seeing, irrespective of the size of the company, small, medium, or large companies, there's actually adoption is happening bottoms up. So your collaboration tools, your Workstream collaboration messaging tools, they're adopted by teams. So very often we see engineering team adopting Slack, and they're super, super happy with it. And then the marketing team goes with the Microsoft Teams, and then the support team goes with another solution. And then what ends up happening is that within one organization, there's multiple fragmented solutions, and then everybody's looking for federation. And in fact, it's true, and the recent survey by Forbes, actually Forbes Insights, they surveyed a lot of small, large, and medium enterprises, and what they found that about 70% of companies in the United States, they use 3 or more solutions. So the need for integration is more important than ever, right? To be able to connect your coworkers, to bring everybody together. The solutions need to talk to each other. And some of you, we've heard that you're actually looking for a solution that has everything in one, satisfies your all communication needs. It has the video conferencing, it has audio conferencing, and it has the messaging in one robust client. And most recently, we redesigned our desktop client to accommodate for your needs. I'd like to show you the overview of the new client, the desktop client that we have, and walk you through it. Specifically, features that we introduced, and show you what's possible. So we introduced earlier today the new expanded view. And essentially what this view does, it combines the Zoom meeting client and the messaging client in one. Previously, I know a lot of you have desktop clients on your Mac or Windows. Previously, if you clicked on chat, it would open in another window. And that would result in a lot of not so great user experience issues, because suddenly you had to chase 2 windows, chase messages in 2 windows, and contacts in 2 windows. We recognized that, and we designed the new expanded client with this in mind. Now, your chat is right next to your meeting info. And what's cool about it is we really adopted the same philosophy as our meeting product, which is simplicity. It should be very simple to start a chat, to send somebody a message, to start a group chat, and get in control of your notifications. So with that in mind, we designed a solution that's easy to pick up for anybody who is technically savvy or not, and just figure out how to start a message. So just by clicking on the plus button, you can pick whoever you want to message. In this case, it's my boss. And then you can start conversations. It's also very easy to create a channel. And this is at the heart of your collaboration. You can create public or private channels. It could be topic-based, or it could be with just a few people. And you can also lock it to your internal organization for the safety and security, or you can open it up to external contacts too, which is amazing for us because our support team has been collaborating with a lot of you guys using Zoom chat, and it's super easy to just send an invite from somebody who is not at your company, it doesn't share the same domain, and start a conversation. In many cases, they've been able to resolve support issues over Zoom chat. So this is at the heart. It's how easy it is to create a new channel and send a message. But we also added new features in the new client. The new features are here to simplify your experience with Zoom messaging specifically. This is a star feature. Essentially what it does, it allows you to star your favorite contacts, channels, or messages in case you need to get back to them later and save them. So you can, let's say, well, that is already my favorite, right? Can make him favorite or not. I can add my colleague Cynthia here. And every time she sends me a message, it would be on top of my chat. So it's always takes priority. We also added my notes section, which is your personal space. It's the place where you can save important links, your important files, action items, to-do lists, and get back to them later. It's a private space. And let's see here. We also simplified notifications controls. So for many of you who get bombarded with messages and notifications on a daily basis, this is a critical feature so you can stay on top and in control of the messages that you'd like to receive or you don't want to receive. In this case, you can even control if you want to get the count of notifications. Like, let's say in the morning you wake up and you see 200 unread messages, and for a lot of people, they want to know the number, and a lot of people just want to know they have a new message. So you can hide that number. So very simple user experience improvements. Your Home tab is where you can customize your workflow, how you manage your day. You can add a calendar integration here. So we integrate with Google Calendar, Outlook, Exchange. And in this case, we're using APIs, and we're pulling the meetings that you have on your work calendar here. And you'll be able to see what's coming up and join your meeting seamlessly. It's also possible to change a picture. You can upload the picture here. So you can customize it the way you like. So this is the new look and feel. We also know that some of you prefer the smaller view. So we kept it. And in this case, it's very easy to start a meeting or join. Or if you use Zoom Rooms, you can share with one click of a button, share it to Zoom Room. And it's fantastic. It's a really phenomenal experience. So this is the newly redesigned client. And let me go back to my presentation here. So as we announced earlier, the new client beta, for those of you who'd like to try it, it's available today. And what you'll need to do is submit a notification, a request for access. It's a limited beta. Please go to zoom.us/beta, fill out the form, and it'll be reviewed, and you'll hear from us shortly. But we also know that some of you actually already have existing messaging solutions in place, and we integrate with a lot of them. And I would love to bring on stage my wonderful colleague, Tina Kim, who'll give you an overview of the third-party messaging solutions, and she'll tell you more about how to get started with those. Welcome, Tina.
Thanks, Mila. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at Zoomtopia. Who's having a great time? You guys need more coffee. So with that said, how many of you guys are excited about our entertainment and all the great speakers that we're having? Any Serena fans out there? Yeah. Okay. Who's a super fan of Macklemore? Sorry, Macklemore. Oh, sorry, wrong way on the clicker. So with that said, we were talking about the great and exciting things that Zoom Chat is coming up with. How many of you guys are ready to go ahead and migrate all those users over to Zoom Chat? Yeah. But also, how many of you guys know the daunting challenge of migrating users? Trying to pry your users away from their existing solutions is like trying to pry a donut out of my hands. You're in for a fight. So with that said, we want to go ahead and let you know that you don't have to compromise your user's experience of not having the great quality of video and collaboration that Zoom has to offer. We offer integrations with Slack, Workplace by Facebook, Microsoft Teams, and Hangouts chat. So we understand that users are comfortable within their space and that they want to be able to go ahead and simply collaborate with their existing teams in their comfort zone. So some of you who are new to Zoom integrations may be wondering, well, how do I get these things started? What you'll do is if you're interested in Slack or Workplace, you'll go to your integrations tab in your Zoom admin portal. On the left-hand side, you're going to be able to find it as the last option down on that page. And within that section, you're going to see all of our varying integrations where you'll be able to go ahead and find Slack as well as Workplace. I do want to go ahead and note to you, there are step-by-step articles located at our support.zoom.us site Our technical writers do an amazing job to be able to make sure that you have all the proper information needed to go ahead and successfully integrate those applications. The one thing I do want to go ahead and note is you do need to have Zoom administrative privileges, and then you'll also want to go ahead and make sure that you work with any administrators that are managing the other applications if it's not yourself. Now, for Microsoft Teams and Hangouts chat, you're going to go ahead and find that at the Zoom Marketplace. You heard the great news about the marketplace that's being exposed. That's going to be the area where developers are able to go ahead and create any and all API connections to integrate with our platform. Even our own Zoom developers decided to go ahead and start developing within that space. You'll be able to go ahead and find the instructions for Microsoft Teams as well as Hangouts chat at marketplace.zoom.us. Again, articles are all available giving you step-by-step instructions so you can make sure that you can go ahead and integrate those platforms together. Now, once you have the integration, set it and forget it. Now, we have to let you know what commands are going to be available because it's most valuable for your users to be like, well, now that you have the integration, what does it do? So there are going to be 3 key commands that your users are able to execute with these integrations. First one is start an instant meeting. How many times do we ever get a fire drill and you're like, I need the entire team to join this meeting right now, anybody that's available? With a simple, quick command of start a Zoom meeting, you can go ahead and post that within your chat group and have a quick join meeting link that's available for your users to go ahead and click on if they're available to join. Start meeting with a topic. So this particular command is best used for maybe subgroups within a group. How many people have a large chat channel and there may be a pocket of users that are working on a particular project? You might not want to invite the entire group or at least make it seem like the entire group is required to join. You can specify it with the topic so only the relevant users will be able to go ahead and know that they need to be part of that meeting. Lastly is going to be join Zoom meeting. I have been many times told, hey, here's a 9, 10-digit meeting number. I need you to go ahead and pull in all of your team. I'm like, OK, well, there's no invite. How am I supposed to launch this? With Join Meeting, you'd be able to go ahead and type in that command, populate that meeting number that's not accessible by anybody else because, again, it's been given to me, but make it easy and simple for the rest of your team to go ahead and, with one click, be able to hop into that collaborative meeting. No invitation sent. Again, siloed in their comfort space where all the relevant players are. It's really quick and easy and simple for you to be able to get started with our integrations. We want you to go ahead and ease into that process and have your users be able to take advantage of that. Again, not having to give you that struggle of having to try to pry something away from your end user base. Now, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and transition it back to Mila to go ahead and interview one of our clients who is gracious enough to tell us about their experience with some of these integrations.
Thank you, Tina. This is awesome. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of options for you. And here at Zoom, we'd like to meet you where you are. Essentially, the whole goal is to make the collaboration more effective. But integrations is just one part of the story. There's a lot of things that happen on the back end, specifically with support team, that actually set you up for success if you decide to do an integration. And I'd like to bring on stage my colleague, Kyle Trudeau, and one of his favorite customers, but please, he told me not to mention that, Marina Garay.
All right, we got claps. Yeah. So I don't fall back over here.
So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
If you want to introduce yourself.
My name is Kyle Trudeau. I'm part of the customer success team here, and I see other customers that I work with here. Everyone's my favorite customer.
Hey! I did not say that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marina Garay, and I am part of Sienna, the UC team, and we are a networking specialist, and we focus on providing networking services and hardware, software to our customers.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really incredible. When I had to look up the stats for Sienna, I was like, wow, they're doing 9 million plus minutes a month. That's a lot of usage, and that's great. Thank you. We're grateful. So, Marina, could you tell us when did you implement Zoom, and how did you pick the solution?
Yep. So we started a pilot between multiple solutions, such as BlueJeans and Skype for Business. We did a pilot for about 3 months, and we launched Zoom June of 2017.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember it was June 5th of 2017 because we were really focusing on especially the first couple weeks of adoption. So I remember as a team we did a lot of work on, as soon as we rolled it out to the whole organization, we wanted to see the usage spike and the hockey stick, if you will. So I'll always remember that specific date from the PowerPoint slides we put together for everybody.
This is
Yes.
amazing. I love that you remember the date. So now you have an anniversary on June 5th,
We do.
right?
We do.
A special connection here.
This is awesome. So, and which Workstream collaboration solutions have you integrated at Sienna?
So we have integrated with Microsoft Teams as well as Slack.
Cool. What did you integrate with first?
I believe Slack because it was the easiest, fairly quick. And then because we were moving to an Office 365 environment, we decided to use Teams as our main source of collaboration, simply because of the file sharing that we require. And as it was fairly easy as well, but we did run into difficulties.
How long did it take you to implement both the Slack and? I'm not
Well,
sure.
at the time of implementation, I know we were still chatting on Zoom. Marina and I used Zoom chat, I'd say probably for the first 6 months, every day probably. Now, it wasn't always work-related. We had a good relationship, so
Yes. We
some
spoke
of it
a
was,
lot through the GIFs. Those were my favorite.
we had some fun when that capability came out with Zoom chat, but I think she asked to meet. I think we asked to meet over chat. Slack, like you said, was easy. And for Microsoft Teams, I think I probably got them set up in about 3 minutes.
Wow.
Just walking right
Do
through.
not believe him. It was not that easy.
Tell them the true story. So what happened with Teams?
So with Teams, I used the documentation provided in the knowledge base, but of course I had to bring in Kyle. And there were things that we weren't aware of, such as including an admin from Office 365. There was, well, at the time, the Zoom bot wasn't in the Microsoft Store yet, so we had to work with our Office 365 admin to get that added. And then also, we brought in Molly from the support team. So I would say after including testing, maybe a week.
Yeah, and we learned a lot of great things through the process. So as much as I'd like to say that the customers I work with, you call me and I know every integration top and down and can walk you through all the nuances, oftentimes on the customer success team, we have to bring people in. And so I think we learned a lot with Marina. And as Tina mentioned earlier, at our support site, it's great, obviously, to contact our support team, but also, we've recently really beefed up kind of the technical writing team. We've taken in a lot of the customer suggestions. So a lot of the documentation for the integrations, Marina mentioned, we found out there's a couple things missing. And I know that working closely with her, it was interesting because we had Slack and that was working great. And then she had asked me, hey, what about Microsoft Teams? And it was like the day or so after I got out of the product meeting with Mila where they announced we were having that. So I was really excited. And then, again, a couple hiccups along the way, first implementing it, but that's all been ironed out now. So if we don't know or if I can't answer it, I think I'm more of an expert at Zoom. I've been here long enough now where I know who can answer the right questions. So we'll make sure that we'll get you all set up.
Yes.
Cool. And I have a question for both of you. Please give me an honest answer. How did you feel going into the integration? Like, were any challenges that you were scared of, or?
So moving with the Slack integration, it was so easy, and we received positive feedback from most of our engineers are the heavy users of Slack. Nothing but positive feedback and the ease of use. As far as Teams, there were some hiccups with the commands, so we had to test those out more frequently and train a lot of our users on those.
How
For me, it's,
did
yeah.
you feel?
So I've been at Zoom. I've seen some face in here, people that I know have been using Zoom a long time, a little over 3 years, and it just seems like which is great, but constantly new things to learn. And so for me, I was a little nervous because here's another integration and another thing I have to learn and walk through, and I know implementing it without having much experience myself. So I was a little nervous, but luckily, when you build up relationships with customers over some time, it's a little easier to tell her, hey, I got to pull somebody in. We got to try and
Right.
figure this out. I don't know.
And when you work together like that and you feel comfortable and you know you have that support and you have the sources available, it just makes the process a lot easier.
Cool. And anything that you learned during the integration that you could share with the audience? I'm sure many of you might be thinking of an integration. Any best practices?
Best practices. I would say training your users. It can be a culture shock, especially for those who are not used to texting a lot or IMing a lot or using commands. So I would just say focus on training your end users.
Yeah, and I think too, if you have users, we've done a couple deployments recently where maybe Slack's already there and people are nervous about, okay, now we're implementing a new tool, Zoom, even though it's for a little different use case, video conferencing. But I think really starting off by telling them, hey, don't worry, it's going to be really easy to start directly in Slack /Zoom to post an instant meeting. And Tina talked about the other options with topics involved as well. So really hitting that community that's already, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Slack, and during the rollout process, telling them, hey, don't worry, it's going to be really easy from Slack. Because inevitably people will find that and then it's great. But for those of you that might be considering adopting Zoom or rolling out Zoom, I think letting them know about the integrations we have going into it really helps for an even easier transition.
Right, / Zoom, start. My
Pretty
favorite feature is actually, you can do one-on-one calls and you can do one-to-many, right? So if you're in a group, let's say product group or support team, then you just hit the button and it launches a meeting with everyone who's in that channel, which saves a lot of time, right? Because you don't have to go and assemble your meeting list, which is really awesome. Cool, thank you so much, guys. I would love to open to the audience. If some of you have questions, feel free. Now that you have the support team and the customer and everyone. Yep, if you want to.
I don't know if we want to
grab
direct
a
them to the
mic,
microphone,
that'd be great,
maybe.
yeah. I'll get you a mic.
You could probably shout it out, too.
Okay, I think I speak up. Two questions in regards to the chat product.
Sure.
One, where is the information being stored?
Yes.
In the Zoom cloud or is it local?
Yeah, so great question. Where is the chat information stored? So the messages themselves, they're stored on our servers.
Okay.
It's a combination of our own proprietary data centers and AWS. And recently, we actually rolled out the integration with third-party providers like Smarsh and Global Relay, where you can actually store all your messages if you prefer not to store it on Zoom servers.
Okay, and is there a lifetime?
Is there a lifetime for storage? Yes. So the lifetime for storage is 10 years. It's up to 10 years. And if you store it on Zoom Cloud, it's complimentary. If you choose to store it with Global Relay or Smarsh, that's going to be under that agreement. Essentially, it's their pricing. But ours is complimentary.
Okay, does that also include the file share within that? Or is that
Yes, that includes everything. Everything that's being transferred during your conversations. Yeah.
As an IT guy, you always worry about someone's computer crashing.
Absolutely.
Those are not
As an IT guy, you're worried about computer crashing for sure, and all this data that's stored on the cloud, it's discoverable. And you can granularly discover it, basically pull information for a specific user or a group or specific date range. It's available in the admin console today. Yeah.
If I could just follow one more question. The integration with the phone systems, I talked a little bit with someone today that you can go with a CUCM integration and a SIF connector. Does that have any integration with presence for like Cisco Presence? Are you going to be able to see if someone's available in a meeting, any of that?
Yes. So it depends on the type of integration that you're having, right? So if you integrate with your calendar, your Microsoft Outlook calendar or Google Calendar, we'll be pulling that, the meetings that are coming up and using that information to display present status. So if you have a calendar meeting and it says, even if it doesn't have a Zoom meeting ID, we'll be showing you in a meeting. Yeah.
It won't show like your phone's off hook, right? It won't show you're on a call.
No, it'll show you're in the meeting because we're basing this off whatever you have on your calendar. Yeah, and if you're in a Zoom meeting, we detect that you're actually sharing your video and audio, and then it will show in the Zoom meeting, just so people know sometimes it's okay to send somebody a message when they're in the meeting, and sometimes you might be in the presenter mode or sharing your screen. And in this case, it's a little bit more helpful to know that you're in a Zoom meeting.
Okay, but just to touch on his point, if it's integrated with a SIP connector into the telephone portion of the application, you're not going to be able to know if that person's on a call or not on a call yet.
We will be adding new statuses.
Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So kind of tagging along with the chat, it's
Yeah.
great you guys are doing third-party integrations. We don't use Global Relay, but we have another solution, and then we have to store ours on-premise.
Which
Is
one?
there any, ZL is what we
Okay.
use. Is there any
Alright.
solution or any kind of other types of ways we can integrate so we can archive these chats?
With ZL?
Yes.
You mean? Yeah, the plan is our roadmap is expensive, right? So we're adding more archiving solutions as we go along. The next one that we're working on right now is Actians. A lot of our customers, especially in the finance vertical, they work with Actians. So that will be the third one, and potentially we can add more.
Any timeline on Actians, because we use that.
Definitely next year, I'd say later half next year. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I can be loud enough. I have a question about your integration, and you talked about training your own users as being your tip. How much of Zoom's tools did you use, and how much customization did you do for your own company?
So as I mentioned earlier, I did use a lot of the knowledge-based articles. But what's also helpful are the videos that Zoom provides. And what's good about them is they're less than a minute, just a few seconds. So you have your end user's attention. If it's longer, it's usually they stop focusing. So those were very helpful. We do have a Sienna Communications team that does send out information to the mass. So we did use that, and we also have internal web link where we can post Zoom articles and so on.
I think something we did too, just that was unique. I don't see it a lot, but I know we were really adoption focused at Sienna. You know, one of the concerns, I think it's fair to say, through the POC process, it was determined that Zoom was the better tool, but there was some concern about the actual adoption, and people were so used to what they were doing. So even beginning, you know, and it's kind of tail stage of the POC into the rollout, we held a couple open Q&A sessions. You know, people that, more for some of the power users, I think, were targeted. Okay, we know that these people are gonna, you know, might have some hesitancy moving over, so just to add along with the whole training idea, you know, that was something that I think was really helpful. And we were kind of, I'll say me more so, because I had held a few of those sessions before, and I think we were caught off guard. I think over 400 people joined the first one.
Yes.
And so doing open Q&A with that many was, next time I'll probably, I need to change my tactics. It was my fault mostly, but you know, the fact that we had that many people show up, and we were able to answer most of the questions. A lot of people have the same type of questions, obviously. So those kind of open Q&A sessions are really helpful also.
Yeah,
and one of our, just to add, one of our main focus was to push our end users to the Zoom knowledge base. You have this source, use it. It's there for you.
Yeah, and to build on the adoption part, we see a lot of customers, different company cultures, right? Some are more comfortable with video and persistent chat, and some are less comfortable. What we're seeing with video specifically is after the second or third meeting, or by the fifth meeting, basically, if you're able to convince somebody to have a video on, it becomes second nature. So it literally just getting your teammates or your coworkers over the hurdle, right? Just getting them comfortable with being on video. Because the first call, everybody's like, oh, how do I look like? Is everything okay? Is my hair does it look right or not? But by the fifth or 10th meeting, nobody cares about it anymore. People just focus on the content and what's being discussed. So it's really encouraging, as you're deploying in the beginning, it's really encouraging your workforce to really go for it. And the more frequently they do it, the more comfortable they become, and then it becomes easy. Go ahead.
My team, we're excited about the desktop client, the chat client, but our team is working with HipChat, and HipChat's going way with Slack.
Yep.
And my question to you, and our group is working with GitHub for
Right.
Coding,
Mhm.
and there's a feature in HipChat that allows notification for GitHub.
Mhm.
Is there going to be like an add-on or an integration with GitHub notifications?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We're adding a lot of developer tools to our messaging platform. As we announced today, the marketplace, some of the first applications that are going to be available, they're developer-centric. A lot of them are sales or support-centric. Jira and GitHub are the first two, for sure.
Hi, so about a year ago when we started looking at Zoom, we had multiple different collaboration tools.
Right.
I won't name all of them, but some people use this one for video, some people use this for screen share, the sales team use that for that.
Right.
When we switched to Zoom, it basically replaced all of them. It was great. We had great adoption because Zoom did everything. We're now facing the same thing with our chat tools. We got Slack and Skype and Teams and all these different things. And of course, Zoom has chat as well. And in the beginning of this presentation, we talked about features coming to Zoom chat, and then we talked about integrations, which is just adding Zoom to other tools.
Right.
But what we really want is one tool that does everything. So is there a roadmap? Is there like a feature comparison? Is there like a list where we can see what features does Zoom chat have versus what the integrations can provide with the other tools that personally we want to get rid of? If we could get everything on Zoom, that would be great.
Sure. Like I said earlier, we want to meet you where you are in terms of your persistent chat and Workstream collaboration needs. And if you're interested in one solution, I think it might be helpful to sign up for our beta. And a lot of the beta testers, they actually get notified about the new features coming up ahead of everybody else. And that might be the best way to start. In terms of the roadmap, it's expensive. It's definitely going to develop over time.
Thank you.
The chat, like when you're outside of a Zoom meeting, can that chat come into the meeting? Like if it's like a team that's meeting regularly?
Sure, that's on the roadmap.
I love it.
It's definitely a very product-specific answer. But it is, yeah. And the way we're planning to do it is essentially give admins an ability to choose to decide whether they want to integrate their in-meeting chat with the persistent chat or if they want to keep it separate. Just so you have the flexibility. Some meetings are not meant to be recorded or stored, right? We currently don't record, unless you decide to save that chat after you leave the meeting, it's not recorded, right? So it's going to be a setting. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is sort of along those lines. Our legal department, sometimes they want to be able to not have the chat history recorded or saved in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Is it possible to, like just with the regular chat and outside of a meeting, is it possible to not have the history saved?
Yeah.
Even if file shares or whatever else goes on?
So in a meeting, if you share file, we don't store that file. You only share your screen. Right?
But in the chats, like you said, you can transfer files through chats and things, and it sounded like that might have been saved somewhere. But is it possible to not save any of it?
It is possible. By default, it's whatever admin chooses. If they choose to not save it, then it's not saved.
Excellent. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, Mila.
Hi, Fred.
You shared some things with us about the new desktop client, but I was wondering, is there anything you can share with us about any changes with regards to the mobile client?
The mobile client, thank you. Awesome. And by the way, Fred and I have been working on, he's been providing feedback, and I want to thank you. I'm so grateful for your feedback. Mobile is coming. The update, refresh of redesign is coming next year. So we're rolling this out. We're asking all of you to test this. Let us know if you like it or if you don't like it. We want to test it and iterate on it before it's going to go to general availability. And based on that, we're going to start the mobile refresh. Yeah.
If I could just ask one follow-up question just about mobile.
Sure.
When it comes to integrations,
Yep.
will all of the integrations that you're talking about, let's say, for example, on Hangouts chat, things of that nature, will that all work the same way, whether it's desktop or mobile?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it should be. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
It's a great question. Thank you.
So I had just a few small questions about some little settings. So with the notifications, you can set it up so for a particular channel, you can have it so you get all notifications of this or that. So is there like a single global setting where you set it for most things? And if I want like all notifications from a manager or something like that, I can set it for just those people?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, so for your phone services, who actually provides that? Is that through Ring Central, or who's doing the back end for that?
So this is our own.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And then is that going to be integrated with call center solutions through third parties?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's going to be more on that coming. I would advise a lot of you who have CSMs, this is where you're going to get firsthand, news and information. Kyle and the team are doing an excellent job of notifying customers of features that are coming up. Any other questions? Everybody's ready for lunch? More questions? Yes. Yeah. So there is chats. All the chats are encrypted in transit and in storage. And also you can enable end-to-end encryption, meaning that nobody can actually decrypt those chats, only the people that own those devices. So that's also an option. It's very secure.
Is the phone service going to be part of this beta too?
Yes. Yeah. You'll have to enable it separately, but that client, the beta that you'll download, it already supports the phone. Yeah.
Sat down and thought of another question. So,
Sure.
So right
Bring it
now
on.
you guys have group functionality within the Zoom chat. Can you have multiple channels for a single group for like different topics within that
Yeah.
team?
Yeah. You mean like sub-channels or just kind
Yeah,
of?
like a sub-channel type functionality. So like we have our AV team, but we do unified communications for a variety of things. So we could have a chat channel for Teams functionality, one for a rollout at a certain location, stuff like that.
Right. Currently, you can just create a new channel with a different name, not a sub-channel. But that's a great idea.
Okay.
So, thank you. Yep.
Do you have anything planned in terms of presence? I know right now your presence is pretty rich, and with the calendar integrations, it's going to be really great.
Yep.
What about custom presence? Like
Okay.
say I'm going to pick up my daughter at daycare, I'm out for lunch.
Yeah, we actually have it in the new client. Yeah. It's available. Sorry, I didn't go over all features. Yeah, I just focused on. This is great. Yeah, and you can even add emojis there, and it's a lot of fun. It's available. Yeah, the new client has a lot more features. I just covered, the main ones, the major ones, but definitely I'd encourage you to test it, dig it in, let us know what you think. Yep.
This may be more of a back-end question,
Yeah.
but is there any intention, or maybe with the new client there is, the ability to have more granular control over sending an attachment or a file through chat? Because my security team they shut it down originally, but
Right.
we could maybe say you can transfer files internally, but not to anyone outside the organization,
Right.
or something like that. I think they would be more accepting of it.
It's a great question. Is there control for file transfer? So currently it's a binary thing. You can just turn off file sharing, and in this case it's going to be just a regular chat. But we do recognize that file sharing is very important. And the partnership with Dropbox that we announced earlier today, it's actually going to be a lot of custom integrated work, and part of that is going to be how your team accesses the files. So if you work with Dropbox and Zoom, that's going to be even more seamless. And we're also going to have file sharing options with Microsoft and Google and other major, yes, absolutely, Box, yeah. All the major file sharing solutions, because that's so critical to going back to Workstream collaboration. It's like file sharing, you can't go around it, yeah.
So you said that custom integrations have scopes in another session.
Yep.
But the problem we have with other chat applications is when we create custom integrations, we see what they're scoped with pre-installation.
Yep.
But then we have a problem where they change it post-installation. So now the scope has changed and they have access to more stuff than we originally let them have.
Right.
Do you guys have any?
Yes, so the question is, can admins control slash commands? Currently, no. You can control which channel you give access to that slash command. Let's say you just want to keep your developers happy and give them the more rich set of slash commands, and other teams would just not have access to that. But as far as specific slash commands, it's not available yet. Yeah, it's a great question. Any other questions? Cool. Our lunch is going to be great. We have Serena Williams in the afternoon. We have Macklemore. I'm sure you've heard about Macklemore already. But we'd like to leave you with some food for thought. As you leave this session, if you could ask yourself these 3 questions. Am I getting the most of my Workstream collaboration solution today? What's the right thing for my organization? Is it integrations or one solution that has everything? And most importantly, what are you looking for in your Workstream collaboration partner? Thank you. Enjoy your Zoomtopia.